And 3, 2, 1, boom. And we're back with another episode of Socratic Gamers.
Yeah.
After a hiatus. Oh, actually, this episode is sponsored by Zen Real Clothing Co. Check out zenrealclothingco.com for awesome tees. Anyways, so we are back after a little bit of hiatus. I hit up Portugal, Greece, and Egypt. And we are back better than ever. So I kind of feel like the ancient exploration journey is over. So like what I mean by that is like I have been like studying this like ancient stuff for so long, and like philosophies, and like I kind of felt like there was like a giant mystery there, you know, that was to be solved.
Right.
And like, but you kind of already were on that, like that path of like seeing it through nature documentaries and stuff, and like seeing like the evolution of the human species.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you showed me like that. What was that? Out of Africa.
The journey? You're talking about the Incredible Human Journey?
Yeah, go check that out if you haven't seen it. BBC's The Incredible Human Journey, where they talk about how we like left Africa and all that stuff. But like, so like there's that, and then you were like you're studying like animal stuff and like evolution, and then like cultures, you know, different religions, different ways people like live their lives throughout the world.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
so like you were already like on to this conclusion, but like I'm more like, I guess, experiential. Like I need to see it firsthand because I felt like there was like some disconnect still. You know, and like seeing it firsthand was like solidifying what I had been assuming for so long, which is it's all been done before. You know what I mean? And like we think we're so evolved as a species, but really we're not. You know, like our tendencies are all the same, but the medium changes. So like if you think evolved as a species means like, okay, we have all this technology, it's like, well, that'll be forever. You know, you'll always have technology.
Right.
You know, but like in terms of a human species, we're exhibiting the exact same traits as always, you know?
Okay.
But I feel like it's like we were talking about this yesterday about like the art, right? About the evolution of the evolution of like how things come about. You know, so for one, like the pyramids, right? So I didn't tell you this yesterday, but the original pyramids were clay. They're made out of mud brick. Sorry, not clay, mud brick, right? But that didn't last very long, right?
Yeah.
So the first one to come up with using limestone, he's the guy that made the step pyramid, right? So you already see the evolution there.
Yeah.
Where it's like you go from mud brick, and then the guy's like, okay, we need one that'll last forever. So he creates one that's out of limestone, right? But it's like a step pyramid. It's not like a true, they call it a true pyramid. So then from that one, you get the person that tried to make another pyramid, but like a real pyramid, and he messed up. And then he like abandoned that one, and they call it the bent pyramid. But then the one that he corrected on is called the red pyramid. So it's like, but they're right beside each other.
Right.
Right. And then from there, you get like the Great Pyramids. But in totality, there's like 149 pyramids across Egypt.
Yep.
So it's like it's not uncommon. It's just the reason why people are so impressed by like the Great Pyramid is because it's so massive.
Yeah.
Like it really is actually so massive, right? It's like the size of like a skyscraper, and it's like 9 acres in area.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's pretty gigantic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But so what is a pyramid? A pyramid is okay. Since the beginning of time, we've always been afraid of dying, right? The very first story was like the Sumerian text with like Gilgamesh. And like Gilgamesh is like, his whole mission is like he's gonna overcome death for his people by like searching it out, right?
Right.
So then after that, you get the Egyptians, which is the next oldest, or Hinduism, I guess, the Vedic texts. I'm not too sure, like the timeline there.
I mean, these are all old. That's all we
They're
know.
old. They're
Yeah.
super old. But so like the Egyptians, the whole mummification process is, so their belief is that when you die, you need to be identified in the next world, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they create statues of
Okay.
themselves.
All right.
Because if you have a statue, then when you die, your soul when it's going towards like, so okay, in Christianity they have this thing called like purgatory, and then they meet Saint Simon at the gates or something,
Yeah.
and then there he's like weighing good versus evil. Okay, that's exactly
That's
like
the
Egyptians.
same thing.
Yeah, that's Egyptians. So they believe that when you die, your soul gets weighed, and then like
Yeah.
if you're good, you go to heaven. If you die, you go to hell.
Right.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's almost the same thing.
That's like exactly the same thing. So
It's like weighing it like to a flower, or no, to a feather or something like that. There
yeah,
was like
yeah,
some,
a pound or to a feather. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But yeah, so there you go. Like you can already see the evolution. It's like Egyptians definitely influenced Christianity
right.
because like the lore is the exact same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another one is that they believed in polytheistic. So this is my theory, that we're going from a polytheistic viewpoint, which is multiple gods, to monotheistic. We create one god.
Yeah.
Because in Egypt, that's what happened. They believed in multiple gods, like Ra and all this.
Yeah.
And then another king was like, actually, there's only one god, which is like me.
Well,
But,
okay.
but then he's like, oh, but then later it's like, I'm actually the son of God, not actually God, which is, again, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the son of God. You see it again. And then I believe that we go towards secularism, which is like the U.S. was built on secularism. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to separate God and state.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get, I believe atheism is the final destination where you realize there is no God except the God that you create yourself.
Right.
Right. And I think that's where we're progressing to. Like the
As a
realization.
society?
As a society, or like, because not Buddha, sorry, Einstein said that Buddhism is the religion of the future. But simply, not like the whole like worshiping Buddha,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
like
yeah.
realizing it's all in your head.
Right.
He was a step of the game ahead. He was a step ahead of the game, Einstein, because he knew where it was headed.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the ultimate realization is that you're creating your own reality. So now we rewind all the way back to the ancient Egyptians, and it's like, so our biggest fear is dying. So they try and come up with these like ways to overcome death, but ultimately you're creating figments of your own imagination to quell your insecurity in the present moment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that you ever see the thing where it's like the head of human and the body of a bird? So all right, so this kind of artwork is called therianthrope, where it's like half human, half animal, and it's like a representation of like concepts or ideas or properties that you want to imbue the human with. Right? So
Right.
that's what a sphinx is. It's like the body of a lion because you want to be powerful, but you want the head of a man because you want to be wise. So the thing about the bird is that's the representation of the soul.
Right.
Because when they die, your soul flies free like a bird, right? And like it carries your face because it's your soul,
Right.
right? So like when you break it down into these things and like you ask the right questions, it's not mystical at all. It's like it makes complete sense when they're saying all this. But like it's weird how as a species what we'll do in like contemporary society is if we don't know how something works, we create like a magical story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So like for the pyramids, for example, it's like when people are like, oh my God, the pyramids, like how did they build them? They must have some ancient technology. Yeah, they do have ancient technology, but it's not aliens. Like you saw the evolution of it. It's like there's 149 of them.
Right.
They made mistakes before, and then they just created one that's like epic.
Yeah.
Right?
Trial and error. Right.
Trial and error. Yeah, totally. And like mathematics, so we don't really know how it's done, but like the architecture is sound. You
Right.
know? And they just build upon what they have. So what is a pyramid? A pyramid. Oh wait, hold on. Let's go back to mummification. So the reason why you also mummify yourself is so that you try and keep your body as preserved as possible again, so that when you face, you're not unknown, right? I guess that also goes with the Egyptians, because remember when like in Troy, sorry, not Egyptians, the Greeks, because in Troy, remember he cut out his eyes, he deformed his face, and he's like, oh, now the river Styx, the River Styx man, the ferryman of the River Styx won't know who you are.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you'll be
Yeah,
stuck
yeah.
in purgatory.
Right.
So it's, again, there you go. You see the similar like concepts being played out. You know, but that's what I mean. It's like humans are just like playing out the same human conundrums over and over. It's just the medium changes. Like, what year is it? That changes. What technology we have? That changes. But at the end of the day, it's like we're exhibiting the same human characteristics all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, okay, so what is a pyramid? A pyramid is the afterlife home. So when you die, they bury your body inside the pyramid because they believe you wake up inside the pyramid, and that pyramid becomes your house. That's why they were so grand, and that's why they're so beautiful.
Oh.
Inside with all your treasures.
Interesting.
So people would bury, like, they'd have like their dogs in there with them. They'd have like boats. They found a boat inside the pyramid, but it's like all the things that you want to take into the afterlife with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we do that with coffins though. You like leave things inside the coffin, you know?
This is like a whole mansion for them.
That is literally it. And so I was laughing because I'm like, oh, the Great Pyramid is small dick syndrome. You know, like you buy a Ferrari and then you're like, oh, I'm going to overcompensate. So that king was just like, I'm going to create the most massive pyramid. Nobody can mess with it. Right. You know what I mean? Because he made one for himself, his son, and his like wives or something like that. His like nephew. I can't remember. But like he made 3 of them consecutively, and he's like, nobody's gonna mess with my dynasty. You know, I'm gonna have the best pyramid when I die. Yeah, and like when you look at the architecture, so now this brings about Graham Hancock's. We've seen like his talks and stuff. Yeah, and like he advocated heavily for like an ancient civilization that was there, and it's so undeniable because like. In Peru, the same architecture is there as the pyramids because, like, the way it's built. Granted, the one in Peru is more advanced, but of course it's gonna be more advanced because it was built at a later time. Right. You know, but like the way it's built is the exact same. Where it's like the pieces are fit so snugly together that it's weird that they thought. No, it's not weird, but like contemporary science believes that. The people of old weren't smart. Yeah. Right? So they think like, oh, they have so many flaws. Yeah. But when you look at something as intricately designed as the pyramids or like the things in Peru, you're like, well, they couldn't have built it. It must have been aliens because they weren't that smart. But it's like, no, obviously they were smart. Like the evidence is there.
Yeah, but who's saying, not think people are, contemporary people are not saying it's aliens though.
No, right. But they're saying they didn't have that knowledge back then. So then we create stories. So they're like, how could they have built that? They're just using like wood. They don't know how to cut things.
No, I don't. Well, contemporary science can't say that because I think they're saying that they had some technology.
They had some technology, but they can't fathom them creating something so massive.
I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like that.
No. That's what I've. That's like when you look into it.
No. I understand that. I'm saying I don't think it's. In the general sense like that because then you can see they're not saying it's aliens.
No. Wait, hold on. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
So they don't know how it's done. So then we create a story for something we don't know, right? That's the human nature. If all the unknowns, we create like figments. Mm-hmm. So it's like people like jump on this and you have all these like books about like ancient aliens and like, you know, the secrets of the pyramids. And it's like, dude, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, those things are not supposed to be taken seriously, but when you add them on History Channel, that's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly.
But contemporarily, it's like in the scientific field, they don't think like that, but it's
totally.
But that's the issue with this is, people go into that kind of thinking when you promote these kinds of things on mainstream, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I mean, Western propaganda. So I went there and like the lady was just.
But I always viewed that as a
propaganda.
No, as comedic.
Totally, but like
because I think it's because
really, I didn't know.
Okay, well, because right, because I saw it too.
That's why I was on a deep search for it because I was like, what is going on? Like you heard about like chakras and you hear about like all this ancient knowledge and you're like, dude, like what is it? But then when you look into it, it's like. It's not as grand as like people make it seem. Like it's funny because like so Terry always made the joke to our tour guide like, oh, it's aliens, right? And she'd like laugh and she's like, The tour guide's like, no, it's not. And then when you see it firsthand, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not alien. Like, this is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Like, me seeing it, it's like, yeah, I can see how they'd make this.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't make it myself, but it's like, compared to a computer, this is nothing.
Right.
You know, like, I have no idea how, like, circuits work or, like, whatever. Like today's technology seems more like magic than yesterday's
Yeah,
technology.
of course.
You know what I mean? Because,
Yeah.
like, the olden time pyramids, it looks like you just put a bunch of blocks together, bro.
Yeah.
But that's what it was.
But
You
that's
just put a bunch of blocks together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that would make sense in the evolutionary way, right?
Exactly. So the
I mean, we kind of did that as kids, right? Like
totally exactly. Yeah.
like in like Lego blocks, right?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
So like we've moved on from blocks to something else.
Exactly. And like and so Richard Dawkins was saying that like if you saw like these cameras in these rooms, you'd be like, oh my god, it's magical.
Yeah.
But if you know your way back, it's
Yeah.
it's obviously it's gonna come about.
Mm-hmm.
Because of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are all religions the same? Because if you look at the origins of it, it's like, it makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
followed a sequential order. Why is atheism probably going to be people are going to wake up to atheism? Because like, if you follow the sequence of events, like you go from trying to escape your mind, then using your mind to escape your mind, and then like realizing there is no mind, and then realizing you're just creating your life yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if you just follow the logical flow, you'll get to the answers that are real.
Right.
You know? And so anyway, so Western propaganda, hilarious. She was like laughing about how like the tour guide, about how like people think that Cleopatra was from the ancient Egyptian era. So fun fact, the ancient Egyptians were actually black. Like, not all of them, I guess, but like a majority of them. When you look at the statues, you're like, how could this not be black? You know?
Even the way they looked.
They
in the
looked,
statues.
yeah. And they painted them black as well. And then like she was saying like, oh, historians believe that like they're hypothesizing on two things: either they came from the mud era or they were just black. And I'm like, looking at their facial features, I'm pretty sure they're black.
Right.
You know.
Mm.
So then I got asked like, well, how come they look different now? They're like light skinned, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like because Egypt went through four major periods, right?
Yeah.
First, the ancient Egyptian period. That started when the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt happened, because before then they were just tribes.
Yeah.
And then they became one giant tribe, right? So then that was ancient Egypt. And that's when the pyramids got built. From there, Alexander the Great came in and he like liberated the Egyptians from like their not slavery, but like their oppression. Because like a different colony came in and like oppressed them, like ruled over them. And they actually welcomed Alexander the Great because they saw him as a liberator.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And so Alexander the Great, he's like, I'm going to let you guys keep your way of life. Like, I don't want to... Like, you can either rule by fear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You can either have a mosaic or a melting pot, right? So, like, a melting pot would be like, you're going to be like me, right? But Alexander the Great chose a mosaic, which is like, you guys can be yourselves. I'll let you be whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to subjugate yourself under me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why you still have so that's why Cleopatra, who was actually Egyptian, sorry, who was actually Greek, wore the Egyptian garb because she that's their culture at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And she was also the last king of Egypt.
Queen?
No, king, because they don't have queens.
Oh.
Yeah, rulers are all kings. So there was a lady.
Oh, okay.
There was a lady who
So that's not a gender thing.
No, it's just there is queens. They do have queens, but the queens are second to the king.
Right.
But you can be a king.
Okay, I see.
A woman can be a king.
Okay.
So there was a lady who she's like famous for in the ancient Egyptian time for being a king, but she was a woman. So all of her statues, even though she was a woman, she portrayed herself as a man. Okay. So all the signifiers of men, which is like left foot forward, painting yourself in red instead of like yellow, because women were painted in yellow, men were painted in red. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all these things. But they also had groups of kings. They didn't just have one king. So it's that's also fascinating.
Like it makes sense. I mean, like even with like the way Greek was ruled, it had like a democracy kind of style. Like it's similar in that way with kings. You know, it's a mixture of both.
Right. Oh yeah, true.
I mean, there's different methods of
Ruling.
ruling.
Yeah, totally.
It's not just one way, or we only think of it that's okay. It's monarch or like a different type, like communist or democracy. But there's always mixes of things, right?
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we don't look into, right? We kind of forget those sort of things.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, why do we have the type of governing system we have now? Because it was there in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the true mystery was for me. It's like, why do we have the things we have today? And it's like, if you just look into history, you'll figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
like, why do we have a governing body the way we do? Why do we have a president and not a king? Why do we have like, you know, like everything? It's just like, because everything is based off of what previously happened.
Right.
Nothing comes into fruition spontaneously.
Mm.
That's also why I believe in fate, because like, if an action has a consequence, then fate must be real.
Right. Okay.
But so, anyways, so then after the Greco-Roman era, which is like Alexander the Great, then the Christians came, and this is interesting because it wasn't in the Catholicism. It's not in the Catholic Bible. I was trying to say, like, how do you say that? So like in the Catholic Bible, we didn't know that Jesus fled to Egypt.
Right.
But in their story, like he fled to Egypt. So he visited where they lived, like married Jesus and Joseph when Jesus was a baby. Although that's kind of fascinating because like he disappeared at 12 years old. I don't know, whatever. It's hard to like put it all together because like Catholics don't believe in that, and like Egyptians don't believe in the Catholic thing. You know, it's just stories. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like.
So like him going to India or
exactly.
Like,
So they fled to Egypt, and then like people just started believing in Catholicism because they saw him as a prophet.
Yeah.
But that was also like but remember like I said in the Bible that it seemed like propaganda because like in the book of Ezekiel, it's like they've already escaped the Holy Land.
Right.
And then they decide to come back and take over Egypt. So then her being like, oh, the Coptic era, which is the Christian era, they took over Egypt. And I'm like, oh, so that was real to some degree. Then I asked about Moses, and the tour guide was like, Moses could have been the son of one of the kings.
Okay.
So like they don't think there was never any slave oppression. So all right, so let's rewind. The Jews weren't around during the pyramid creation era because like in media it's like the Jews are the ones creating the pyramids. That's not true. No slave has ever touched a pyramid. Why? Because it costs so much money. So it's like you need only experts building your pyramids.
Right.
And it's funny because like so when a king comes into power. They're like it's funny because I'm like jumping all over the place because it's like so much happened.
Yeah.
But so when a king comes into power, the first thing they do is like they set a budget for their pyramid, their afterlife home,
Right?
Because they know they're gonna die, and mummification, they set a budget for that, right? So that's why you can have like amazing sarcophaguses and like some with not so great ones, but it's just like so it was like a big industry, like death was a big industry for money.
Right.
Propagated by belief. So at the end of the day, it's just like belief and commerce build societies, you know? It's like, oh, you want a spectacular home? Well, we can upgrade you for an extra $2,000 on a giant pyramid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Right.
that's what the talks would have been, you know? So pyramids were so intricately so they were so important back then that people who died in the construction of the pyramids, they had like a whole grave site next to the pyramid, an ancient grave site.
Okay.
Because like it was an important thing. But again, Western media has like brainwashed us into thinking that they made slaves do it, but it's like no, they would never touch it.
Right.
You know, because they weren't skilled workers. Fascinating. What else? another Western media concept. Oh, this is a big one. So like Muslim culture. All right, this I was saving this one for you. So like, you know what's inside the Mecca?
Inside of it,
Yeah.
I've seen things.
Okay, but what is your assumption of it?
What's inside?
Yeah.
I can't remember right now.
Okay, so
If you can, maybe it'll jog my memory when you say it.
I thought it was a meteor.
Oh no.
No, you didn't know that? You didn't think that?
I've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That they're praying
Yeah,
towards a
I've
meteor. A
heard
meteor
that.
came from the sky, and
Yeah.
they're praying towards an asteroid,
Yeah.
and that's why we go. So I was telling the person this, the tour guide. She's Muslim, and she's laughing. She's like, "No, it's the home of God. So inside that thing is just a mosque. So in that black box, it's
Yeah.
just an empty space where you can pray.
But there's a room inside there that
The thing, but you can go in.
nobody. No. There's a room inside that's hidden. There's a room. It's okay.
But is
you
that
can.
true? But is that true?
No,
though?
I've seen
'Cause
the
I was-
images
Okay.
because you're not
Maybe.
supposed to take pictures of it, but people have.
Okay.
And so
But what's inside the room? What's inside the mysterious room?
I don't know. It could be just gold. Could be. I'm not saying it's anything else. I'm
It's
just
not like
saying.
an asteroid.
No, I don't think anyone
maybe,
said that.
or maybe it's just that's the room of God, because she said that like, I forgot who the thing. I think Abraham or something. Like,
But like some people can go in it. I think.
no, they can go in it.
Yeah.
That's what she said. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're supposed to go in it and pray in it.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
it's a prayer because
But you're not supposed to take pictures of it.
it's God's home,
Yeah.
right?
Like I think I don't know where I saw it, but like yeah, I saw those pictures of inside the thing.
Oh, okay.
I was comparing it with something else because there was another to make sure that these pictures are real.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's like there's nothing like.
No. But there was a
Audacious
room.
about it.
There
It's
was
like-
no. Yeah, nothing inside that's crazy. But like there was a room that is closed off.
All right, so
A small room,
Okay, so whatever. Maybe that's like
or it's
God's,
like a closet space. I don't know.
Maybe that's like God's room.
Yeah, could
You
be.
know, like there's like we reserve one space for God.
right.
You know, something like that. But it's like she was like laughing. It's like this is so preposterous. Like why would we pray to a meteor? And I was like, I don't know. That's what I heard.
Well, I mean, things again. We know about how stories change, right? Like,
Totally, but that's what I'm saying. Like Western
Yeah.
propaganda.
But she wouldn't know that either, right?
What do you
Maybe
mean?
that's what it is inside the. Again, I don't want to add those things in. But I'm
But
just
what,
saying.
like, what do you mean? Like she wouldn't know that either.
No, I mean like if you believe in this way, like why would they say there's a meteor in there?
I don't get it.
It wouldn't make sense to say that.
I thought there's a meteor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm taking her word for it. Like she's
No,
like,
I know. No, I
she's
know.
like
I'm
a
not saying that. I'm not saying
student
that.
of it.
No, I
She
know.
lives
I know.
it.
Yeah. But then it's also like.
Like what if there is a meteor in there? But that's like saying
Or
what if
no,
there are
no, no. Like
aliens?
it was based on why it was put there, like a long time ago. Maybe it changed the meaning of it differently over time.
Or maybe it was just propaganda, like
Oh, that too.
how they
Oh, yeah,
put
yeah.
slaves building the pyramids,
yeah.
and they're like, "What? This is not real." Or like saying like aliens created
Mhm.
the pyramids that you see, and you're like, "No, just it's
Yeah.
not." It's
Right.
pretty basic.
I'm just saying. I don't want to. Just you know. Again, yeah. I don't know.
But
I'll add
so,
that.
so,
Okay.
so if you actually want to see something very impressive, I think, and nobody ever talks about it, go to Cambodia. Because those temples are huge and
Mm-hmm.
everything is so intricately made. But it's just because they figured out how they do it, or they believe they had that technology at the time. That's why it's not such a controversy.
Right.
You know, but those temples are way more impressive than the pyramids.
Yeah.
You know?
But it makes sense, right?
But it's like way, way, way further down the line, you know?
But it makes sense, right?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like evolution wise, and
No, that's what I mean. Yeah,
How you
way down the
bring
line. Yeah,
the
the knowledge
The
over
knowledge
and then you
of the
advance the
art.
knowledge. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Like I would say that's more impressive and like more alien like built than, but it's not alien like built. Like, but humans have been doing crazy things like this all around the world. Like if
Oh,
you go to
yeah.
Meteora, there's like on the side of these limestone mountains are these churches. And it's like, how the frig did they build these churches there?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, no, they just believed in God so much that they abolished their fear of heights.
right.
And I was like, what? That's it? Like, yeah, they just climbed it. They just brought it stone by stone and they built the thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no magic,
No.
you know? But we like to think that there's magic because we don't understand how it's built. So we decide like, oh, it's sort of like a Wim Hof. Like you're like, oh, he's magical because he can withstand the cold, and it's like, no, he's just using this technique. Like
Right.
unless science validates it or like verifies how he's doing it, it's like we think he's a magician. You know, like David Blaine, he could be like a demon, but like him explaining how he's doing his magic trick, it's like that we don't think it's preposterous.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just when the mind doesn't understand something, that's when it'll fill in a ridiculous story.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. So also very interesting note, women have more rights in Muslim cultures than men do.
Okay. In which way?
So
Let's explain that.
all right, so there when you get married to a woman, you have to like you create like with her dad like a pact, like I'm going to buy this for her and like provide this amount of money, right? So there's the one. Second, she gets to create her own contract before marriage.
Yeah.
So she gets to write all the things that she wants to do. So she's like, I want a job. I don't want to have too many kids. I want this. I want that. Like you can write them all down. I think it's like divorcing is okay there, and it's easier if the woman initiates the divorce. The reason why they cover up is not because of like property, but it's because of like you should fall in love with the person's mind and not their body. So like that's what like so the only thing that they wear to show that they're Muslim is the hijab. Everything else is like additional. So you can wear the niqab, you can wear like the whole robe, but our tour guide only wore the hijab, and she's like, well, in our religion it says to hide your hair. So that's the one thing, because like you want to hide the attractive features of yourself so that you don't like draw the wrong attention. You don't want somebody to fall in love with you for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Friggin' fascinating, right?
Yes, but that's again, yeah, that's fine.
If the man says this word 3 times,
Yeah, I know about that.
oh, I was like, what? The women, they, so if you don't know about it, so if the man says this word 3 times, they automatically get a divorce.
Yeah.
The women are not allowed, the women are allowed to work, but the man can never ask how much she makes, and she gets her own bank account. And if she chooses not to work, her primary duty is to take care of their children. The man has to provide everything that they need.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we need this house, you gotta go get it. We need this, you gotta do it, you know? There's no like onus on the woman to do any of that, except her only duty is to be a good mother to the child.
Right.
It's like fascinating because it's like the stereotypical preconception of like ownership, you know, and like you are my property and like all that stuff. It's like, no, they have like more
I think it
leverage in this
depends
than
on
they
which
do.
version of that you follow, right?
So I was asking about them. These are like universal things, but it's the perception. Because so I was asking about, all right, so I brought up ISIS. I was like, okay, so what about these extremists? And she's like, they're not actual Muslims. And she's like, it's so terrible because they're giving us a bad reputation because they're using specifically chosen things
Yeah, exactly.
in
That's
the
what I'm
wrong
saying.
way
Yeah.
in order to propagate their violence.
Of course, yeah, they're misinterpreting it.
They're not they might be misinterpreting, but they're taking it in order to justify something else.
Yeah.
But they're ignoring all the other stuff that it's saying in order to do what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So it's like when you say like which version of it, it's like, yeah, but is that the pick and choose one where it's like about violence, or is it about like those the actual tenets of like peace, you know? So like good example, you know how like you know it's about like in like Muslim culture, it's about like if they're your guest, you you have to be nice to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're going into like stores, not every store, but like this happened quite a few times, they offer you any drink you want. They're like, do you want Coke, coffee, tea?
Right.
And I was like, oh, is this free? What is this? And then they're like, no, you're our guest, so we must provide for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how can that culture be so like negative? Through like media, because everyone like hates on them, but it's like their whole culture is about peace. If you want to talk about actual like negativity, you'd look at the Christians who did Christian crusades. You never hear about a Muslim crusade?
But they did happen though.
Muslim crusades?
Yeah, there's slavery happening
Oh, really? Like what?
in Syria.
Okay, but is
Or,
that...
sorry, Libya.
Yeah, right. But is that because of Muslimness, or is that because of the like societal cultural stuff in that area? Like, do they but like it? Is it because they're Muslim? They're like, we get slaves, or is it like we are in Libya, so we're gonna get slaves?
So there is a portion in it's the same thing as the Bible, right?
Okay.
They would follow the similar thing. Because I watch a lot of the Hyde Park debates, so
Totally. But,
and they explain it that way too.
right. But what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
are you following it in terms of getting what you want, or are you following it in terms of the primary tenets of like peace and love? Like, so she was saying like it says thou shalt not kill, like, so they're actually built off one another. So it's a trilogy. Judaism.
Yeah.
You should go listen to our other podcast about the people of the book. Yeah. So like the primary tenets, like thou shalt not kill, treat everyone as you want to be treated. So it's like, if you're doing that, then where's the slavery? And I also don't like, where does it say like you can own a slave?
These are in the hadiths probably.
But is it like said?
Yeah, when you win a war.
Okay.
But
is the hadith even coming from Allah?
Well, technically, in their point of view, yeah. These are
being passed down through the interpreter,
which is Muhammad, yeah.
But what was that from Muhammad?
Yeah.
I feel
no.
like,
That's from that's what they say.
Okay, so
if you're a Muslim, you have to follow the both.
Okay, so I think the best way to like figure this out, because yeah, sure, but that's also from a Western perspective of like.
No, this is me from
Hyde Park. No, but Hyde Park is in a European country, right?
No, but I'm listening to Muslims.
Right, but who are those Muslims?
Like, they're really good in what they're talking about. Like, they know the stuff.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but like you could also say that about like Osama too.
Yeah, no. But
You
they're
know what
not.
I mean?
No.
Like-
But they're not. No. They're not putting it in a bad light. They're explaining it, what it's meaning. Yeah.
Right, but I feel like it's open to interpretation.
Of course, all this is open to interpretation.
Totally. And,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like which way are you going to choose to take it? The peace and love route, or the I'm going to use it to get what I want route?
But it's the same thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be either way.
Totally.
Yeah.
But speaking to this person, I was like, I'd never seen like.
Oh, most people are, of course, not going to follow the crazy things.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
most
like,
people do not do that.
So if 90% of the population is following the peace and love route, and we're focusing on the I'm going to use this to get what I want route, then that's just Western propaganda. Because it's like, you're not focusing on the 90, you're focusing on the 10.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that.
And that's what shocked me. I was like, I had no idea about this, because I was coming at it from a different perspective. I read the Quran, and I was like, out of all the 3 books, I would say that this is, not only is it the newest, but it's the one I agree with the most, because like what they're saying is you need to remember God's like.
I mean,
laws.
even in the way, this is one thing I liked about it when I was learning about it, of like the history wise, and then the ones who kept literature, who didn't burn the literature,
Who?
was Muslims who kept the
Yes,
literature.
there you go. Boom.
They're the ones who converted it, who wanted it like kind of
See,
like
exactly.
So those are the things that I liked about it. I was like, yeah, that's really good. That's what we should be doing.
Totally. Right. Exactly. So okay, there you go. So it's like, but
actually they were the front in the world of doing like new sciences and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even what's his name? Who Neil deGrasse Tyson says that too, right?
What?
Like Muslim countries were the ones leading in the maths and things like that.
See, there
in
you
the
go.
modern time, yeah.
There you go. So it's like they're just getting a bad rap now because of like propaganda.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's a lot of this. No, that's very true, and a lot of this is, and with what's happening into their economy, it's America's getting involved and
yeah,
those issues happening for them. Yeah, from these Western countries that are doing that.
Totally.
Yeah.
But so what's interesting is like we're looking at this from like an atheistic point of view.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying like I'm like. Again, you go through polytheism, which is like multiple gods, monotheism, which is this Muslim, this Christian, this like Jewish thing, and then you go into like secularism, which is like nature, like, and then you go into atheism, where it's like you're just observing it as people creating these belief structures. Yeah. Belief in economics, they run the world,
Yeah.
and like I'm. Whatever you choose to believe is up to you.
Yeah.
But because I kind of feel like people, if you listen to it and they're like, oh, you're defending it, you must be this. It's like, no, you're just like, you got to look at it as an atheist.
Yeah.
You got to be like, scientifically, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
We're talking about a bunch of people that don't realize, one, what they believe, or two, where their beliefs came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you know that it's a 3-part trilogy?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Did you know that ancient Egyptians had a similar belief system as like Christians? Like, Speaking of which, you burn the bodies or you like bury them now.
Who? Me?
Like when people die.
Yeah.
And that's predominantly a Roman or Greek thing, right? We do that now. So people are like, oh, why do we do that with our dead bodies? Well, fun fact, it's because we are derived from Rome and Greece, right? So Greece actually tried to figure out how mummification was done, but they couldn't do it. It was too difficult, right?
Yeah.
So they just abandoned it, and they're like, we're just going to bury the bodies. We're just going to skip the whole process of like wrapping you and like,
right.
taking your organs out in canopic jars. They just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine because the Egyptians were like, we're not sharing this with you guys. Like, this is our trade secret.
Right.
Because it was such a high demand thing. Like, a lot of money was being spent on people. So like nobles, so people think, oh yeah, only kings could be mummified. No, it's if you had the money, you could mummify.
Right.
So people would mummify their dogs. They'd mummify like their horses that won in battle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like if you had the money, you'd spend the money.
Yeah.
It was a giant lucrative industry, right? Mummification.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't want to share that with the Greeks. So the Greeks were like, all right, fine. We're just going to bury or burn our bodies. And that's why we do it today.
Right.
Imagine if the Egyptians had been like, okay, we'll show you how it's done. We still might have the industry of mummification. So when you die, do you want mummification? Do you want like burying or cremation?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
even the whole sarcophagus idea. So if you actually look at what a sarcophagus is, it's a Russian nesting doll. So in the center of the giant sarcophagus is the actual sarcophagus. And then as you unpeel the layers, it's one sarcophagus into another sarcophagus into another sarcophagus, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why, at least what I believe the reason to be is because they put hieroglyphics on the outside of these sarcophagus. Mm-hmm. And what those hieroglyphics are like spells to help like ease your passage into the next life. So you just need like room to write spells, bro. So it's like, that's why you're going to make so many sarcophaguses, right? But what is a sarcophagus? It's a coffin.
Right.
Because we saw like the tomb of the Greeks in Alexandria, and like how they were sharing the same spaces, and they were trying to get this knowledge from the Egyptians, but the Egyptians wouldn't hand it over. So it's like a coffin is just a crappier version of a sarcophagus. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Really though.
Yeah.
We just don't have the incantations on it.
That's funny.
right?
Yeah.
Belief in economics. Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like personally, I know there's like so much more that like we could talk about, but it's like it's hard to pull on it in the moment. Like those, I covered all the main things I want to talk about. Oh, so like I found this about myself too. I thought this was kind of interesting, but like, what is so? All right, so I was like, wow, it's so interesting that I want to go around the world and like write about these ideas and share them with other people.
Right.
It's so unique of me, right? It's not.
Yeah.
We went to Portugal, and Portugal is the main place of like the Portuguese were the number one people who expanded understanding of the entire world to the Western civilization. It was them because they're the ones who sent people all over like to explore. But what is an explorer? An explorer is like somebody who goes and writes stuff down, like passes it back.
Yeah.
So it's like even in me thinking, wow, this is very unique of me, I'm just doing another thing that is a common.
I think we talked about that though, right? Like we're repeating.
We're repeating.
Yeah.
That's the insanity of it. Yeah. We're literally repeating everything we've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, there's literally nothing new. Technology's new. Actually, no, that's a lie. Technology's new.
Yeah, technology's new. Yeah.
The only thing that's new. But like in terms of like what a human being is, no. Our desires will never change. Our quest will never change. All that stuff. So have you ever heard of this thing called like samsara?
Heard the word?
So samsara is like the continuous cycle of rebirth and death.
Okay.
Right? And the idea is you keep reliving your life over and over in order to escape samsara. Right? Because you don't want to be reincarnated back in this world.
Okay.
So what some people believe is like the idea, well, Joe Rogan believes, the idea of samsara is actually this moment. Because like in this life, like if you had to live your life an infinite amount of times, would you be okay with it?
If you had to what?
Live your life an infinite amount of times.
All right.
Right? Would you be okay with it? And if you are okay with it, you've just escaped samsara. Because samsara is the idea of birth and death. So what if you had to relive your life over and over again? Would you be cool with it? You know?
Yeah.
And like if you do it right one time, then you can escape it, which is like basically saying no regrets.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like because the only people that feel a samsara pull is like people that are like, oh, I wish I could just live my life differently. I wish I could live life over again. You know what I mean? It's like that's the secret right there. That's another one of those human things that we want to feel fulfilled at the end of the day. We want to feel loved, feel fulfilled, feel like we understand what's going on. Want a sense of adventure. You know what I mean? Like all of these things are all human characteristics that we've always been doing. But the expression has always been different because the technology's been different.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know it's also mind blow? What really like messed me up? Didn't really mess me up, but it always puts it into perspective every time I travel. Because like when I travel, like although I do like learning about different things and like going experience things, I also love to create like a routine where it's like I will always go to this coffee shop because I like to pretend like I'm living like that person. Like what would I do in this area, right?
Right.
Like I would go get coffee. I would go get breakfast. I would like create my patterns, right? Because that's what it is. Like what is living? Living is just creating a pattern that you just repeat daily, and then you're like, technically, I live there. You know, what's the difference between visiting a place and living in a place? Visiting a place is like you have no pattern. Living in a place means you have a pattern. Right? You have a routine.
Yeah.
Right? So what's a mind blow is at this very moment, people in Portugal are doing Portugal things. People in Egypt are doing Egyptian things.
Yeah.
We are in Canada doing Canadian things.
Yeah.
It's a freaking mind blow. We're living so independent from one another, and yet we are all so similar.
Right.
Mic drop. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that is the craziest revelation of all. That it's like we think we're so different, but we're just like everybody else. We are like the snow. If every snowflake is important, then there is no important snowflake.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've been repeating the same patterns throughout infinity.
Yeah, of course.
Like, humans tech. So like, it really does come down to those two things, like what technology is at the time, because technology is going to dictate how we express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the expression is always the same. We all want the same things. Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What did the kings want back in the day? Like, why did they all like obsessively? The ones who made the most money were the people that like sold the pyramid to the king.
Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because like one king got like a great fortune, sure, but like if I can sell 20 pyramids to like 20 kings, boom, I just made a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and charge them an arm and leg for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where this quest is gonna end up now. But I'm kind of like done with ancient stuff now. I feel like I get it. Like I'm just like, okay, I get what's going on here, guys.
Right.
We can move on.
Yeah, I guess you needed to go to the epicenter of it to kind of.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's like, this is like so like mythological or like so analogous.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say is like, so I always thought I was gonna die before I saw any of this stuff, right? Especially the pyramids. I don't know, even leading up to it, I never told Sarah, but I was like, I'm gonna die before I get to see the pyramids because there's always gonna be that one little mystery
Mm-hmm.
that I'll never solve in my life, and like I'll never get to see the pyramids and never get to understand all of it, the full tale.
Yeah.
But only to realize when I saw it, I did die to my old understanding because I was like, oh, I get it.
Right.
F. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why everyone says like we get reincarnated. Not everyone, but like I think that's why it's like we get reincarnated into every moment because we become enlightened at every moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of illusion going on in the world, and propaganda is very real. Especially talking to that Muslim woman, I was like, dude, we have it so backwards. Like I thought we were getting the truth and nothing but the truth, but like you said, like why would you put that ancient alien stuff on the History Channel?
Yeah.
Make no sense. But that's what like leads to the propaganda. So you think it's true?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but they're also just trying to make money, so they know this
but
is what sells.
economics, man.
Yeah.
Belief and economics.
Yeah. Ancient alien sells. So.
Yeah, yeah, true. And so
I
many
mean,
books,
what
so
you
many
just
books out
said
there.
probably too boring. Oh, that's not gonna sell.
The truth, that's so, oh my God, that's so true. That is so true. Wow, that's so true. Exactly what you said is the truth of nature right there. It's like the reality is too boring, so we create
Yeah.
a figment to make it less boring.
Yeah.
But see, like, actually, that's so funny. I like just mentioned it to this guy, but like, in demystifying the mystical aspects of life,
Mm-hmm.
you get to see the truly mystical aspects at work, and those are actually amazing.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's
agree.
like, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
I agree.
you don't need the fictitious story. Just see how amazing this revelation is right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, no, we're just reliving the same stuff over and over. We have the exact same human needs.
Yeah.
That's a mind blow.
Mm.
But like when you hear it, people are like, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. But if you really understand it, you'll understand the mind blow. Because it's like, why worry about anything? It's all going to be okay. You know why? Because other people are also worrying.
Yeah.
So if we're all worrying, like what's the specialness in it then?
Mm.
You know? It's like the snowflake. If we're all individual special snowflakes, there is no individual special snowflake. Yeah.
Right.
But we really want ourselves to be individual special snowflakes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There are reasons. I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like why we do that as a human species.
Because we feel insecure. Because we're afraid we're going to die.
Yeah, but it's also to want us to live as long as we can.
Oh, yeah, true.
It's just
Yeah, true.
yeah, just
Yeah.
it's just an evolution thing. Just like
Yeah.
That the cells don't want to die, right? In a sense.
Right.
If you just think of it like that.
So we make ourselves stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
We don't want to be insignificant.
Yeah. It's just all
we don't want to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all.
But see, even that's why he made such a damn big pyramid. Right?
Yeah.
And I was, it was weird. I was sitting.
Yeah, that's true. We're still talking about him, so.
Right? Dude, I was sitting, like, all right, the tour guide didn't get this, but Tara got it. So, like, who would have thought, like, thousands and thousands of years in the future, your one creation would still be making waves? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Was, right? He's not forgotten.
No,
He's
I mean, like, that's true.
Yeah, bro.
That's true, yeah.
And you see how touristy it is?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he was like, this is going to make Egypt bomb. Like, bro, this is going to put Egypt on the map.
Right.
Well, actually, what I just said is probably what the marketer sold to the king.
Yeah.
And the king was like, hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you want to be remembered for eternity? We make this goddamn pyramid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And why is it 143 meters instead of 140 meters? Because he sold them on the extra 3. He's like, yo, 140?
He's probably
140.
He's
bro.
He's probably walking around the actual pyramid in his ghost form and seeing everyone.
If that's real, yeah, totally. True, yo. And then they're like, yo, this pyramid will last forever. You'll see everyone come to you. But I was wondering, like, I wonder if they thought that at the time. They're like, this is going to be a global attraction. That's sort of like what countries do today. You know? Mm-hmm. They create amazing, like Dubai. Let's create an amazing structure. People will flock to it. We'll get tourist money.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think it's like a method. It's a way to bring people in. Of course. Why else make it that big?
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, no, totally. Why else make it that big?
Yeah.
Other than, like,
it's
you want a bomb house?
It's meant to grab attention. It's meant to bring people in.
He was narcissistic, which is the exact same thing. Like, that's a generic human quality.
Yeah. Yeah. They were not different.
Dude, they're not different. Yeah, they're not different.
Yeah.
Like, yo, let's make this bomb diggity, bro. And especially,
I like that. That's funny. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you look at it in that terms, it's like, but if you look at the reality situation, that's probably the conversation that happened. Like, yo, we gotta make this dope pyramid, bro. You know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? And he's like, yo, can you make 2 more for my fam? All right, sure. I'll give you a discount on this one. You're right. And then what makes it even more funny is they built it on a giant hill already. So they're like, yo, strategic, bro. It's only 143. All right. But if we build it on this hill, it'll look even more massive than it is. Because no matter where you are in Cairo, you can see this pyramid. Mm-hmm. But only, not because it's so tall, but because, well, it's so tall, yes. But it's also built on top of a giant mountain already.
Yeah. Right. So it makes it already.
So it makes bigger. It even more big. When you're driving around freaking Cairo, you're like, what the hell is that thing? That marketer at the time was like, I think that's what really taught me about. I think I'm gonna jump back into marketing. Like, I'm gonna like really study this again, because like, even though I went to school for it, but like going to Egypt,
was it like they got sold the idea, or was it like?
I think they got sold the idea.
100%. Or was it like the priest thing?
What do you mean?
Like the priest is the one telling him?
No, everyone's doing it. So basically, when you become king, it's already assumed you're gonna have your own pyramid.
Okay.
So it's like, obviously, this guy was like, yeah, I'm gonna go off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He also wanted to upstage all the other kings.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, look at how bomb my house is.
Right.
And he didn't just make 1, he made 3. You know? He's like, who's gonna compete?
Yeah.
when you look at it in those terms, in those selfish terms, it's less impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's less impressive from a design standpoint, but it's more impressive that it's that ridiculous. Because that's probably what happened. Right? 100%. He got sold.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's that ego too, right? So.
It's exactly. That's what I'm saying. Basic human tendencies. Yeah. There's a reason why Buddha didn't have a pyramid, because he was like, yo, it's all in your head, bro. You don't need that pyramid. The pyramid is inside of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So, yeah. We can get into so much more, like, but we'll save those topics for, because of, like, global economics is a great one. How we're talking about how, like you want to move into countries that are developing.
Right. Yeah, I think we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another topic.
I think this
There's
is a
so
good,
much
this is
more
a
to
good
say.
spiritual. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
I learned a lot from this trip, but I would say that this was more of a spiritual podcast. So like, this is like the disillusionment. What are you gonna call this one?
What? You're asking me?
Yeah, what are we gonna call this one?
Yeah, you can call it that.
The spiritual disillusionment.
Sure.
No, that's so negative. But,
I just view it as it's just a word, man.
or what about clickbait though? You know what I mean?
Oh,
you're
clickbaity? Oh, yeah,
the
sure.
Great Pyramids of Giza. And people are
The
like,
truths.
damn.
The truths.
Oh, I like that. Yo, the truths behind the Great Pyramids of Giza, yo.
Yeah.
No, but what's kind of like whack though is like I added my tour guide on Facebook, so like she's gonna see this and be like, "What the hell?" You know?
That's all right.
The truths behind the Great Pyramids
Yeah,
of
that's
Giza.
all right.
Yeah. So if you make it all the way to the end of this podcast and you got clickbaited into this, marketing matters, bro. All right. Till next week.
Yep.
Same time, same bad channel. Peace.
Okay. Peace.
Bye.